There are some mistakes in Cyberpunk 2077 that many players won't want to repeat on a second playthrough. Whether it results in a beloved character's death, missing out on some epic loot, or getting an ending that ultimately sours the playthrough, the choices in Cyberpunk 2077 have real weight. While some decisions can lead to great results and even secret endings, others can leave players feeling that they made a huge mistake. Warning: this article contains spoilers for Cyberpunk 2077. During players' time in Cyberpunk 2077, they come across several choices or optional objectives that can massively impact the way they play the game. Exclusive and missable weapons, and new quest lines are locked behind Cyberpunk 2077's hidden choices and what they affect if players make certain decisions or ignore certain cues. These can have huge ramifications on gameplay and story, so missing out on them can seriously downshift a player's experience during their playthrough. Many of the missable moments in Cyberpunk 2077 can have huge impact on what equipment B has at their disposal, what allies they have during their fight to save their life, and how that fight ends. Entire endings to the game are locked behind certain quest lines, and if they are skipped, the ones players are left with leave much to be desired in terms of satisfaction. These are just a few of the mistakes that players can make that can massively sour a playthrough of Cyberpunk 2077. Takamura's fate rests in Versus' hands in Cyberpunk 2077. During the climax of Act 2 of Cyberpunk 2077, it's possible to save Guro Takamura, who has done the unthinkable and kidnapped Hanako Arasaka, leader of one branch of the Arasaka Corporation and someone he should ostensibly be protecting. He does this to convince her of her brother Yorinobu's culpability in the murder of their father Saburo. Naturally, it isn't long before Takamura's temporary hideout is raided by an elite Arasaka kill team. During the encounter, after V plummets through the floor of the apartment complex and is left dazed, with Johnny Silverhand telling them to get out of the building. Many players would take his advice, and in doing so consign Takamura to his doom. It isn't explicitly stated in-game, but it is possible for V to make their way back up through the building, fighting off Arasaka as they go, and save Takamura from the kill team. Escaping the building with him ensures that Takamura survives to the game's end, and will have some words for V regardless of which ending they choose. Arasaka's offer is too good to be true in Cyberpunk 2077. When deciding how to rid themselves of the relic biochip at the end of Act 3, V has the option to go to Cyberpunk 2077's Arasaka Corporation for help. Doing so involves confronting the Arasaka board, foiling an attempted hostile takeover by Yorinobu Arasaka, and ultimately being whisked to an Arasaka space station where they are experimented on and the chip is removed. Doing so does not save Versus' life, however, despite the promises made by Hanako Arasaka and Takamura. V is instead experimented upon and gradually driven mad by confinement on the space station before finally being given a choice: become an engram, like Johnny Silverhand was, until a suitable host body is found, or live out the rest of their life, however brief. Many players seem to feel this choice was reflective of the bad ending in the game, and a bad deal no matter which option they picked. On a second playthrough, many players will think twice before going to Arasaka for help. V can steal more than the relic in Cyberpunk 2077. During the heist at the climax of Act 1 of Cyberpunk 2077, V gains access to the personal suite of Yorinobu Arasaka, heir to the Arasaka Corporation. In this suite are several unique loot items, and a secret path that most Cyberpunk 2077 players miss, that never appear again in the game, and can only be acquired during the heist. These include, Urinobus unique Liberty pistol, on the coffee table near his bed, a rare iguana egg that hatches as the game progresses behind a wood fixture near the entrance to the suite, and Urinobus dress shirt and pants, in a suitcase on the staircase to the landing pad. Once Saburo makes his surprising entrance and equally surprising exit, going up to the helipad and defeating the guards there reveals that Saburo brought his personal katana with him in the AV, which V can steal. All of these items are incredibly valuable, and can drastically alter a playthrough if acquired. Players won't want to make the mistake of missing out on these valuables while they're visiting Konpeki Plaza. Don't miss Johnny Silverhand's Cyberpunk 2077 questline. One of the most interesting questlines in Cyberpunk 2077 involves its resident jerk, Johnny Silverhand. It is made even more so by the fact that it's entirely optional. Players have the option to choose how much they engage with Johnny once Act 3 rolls around. Do they help him reunite Samurai for one last gig and get revenge on the people that did him wrong in life, or do they head straight for the final mission to end the game? Doing the latter can be a mistake, as choosing certain dialogue options during the last quest in Johnny's questline unlocks a secret ending. To do so, V must help Johnny come to terms with his life and death by choosing specific dialogue during their conversation in the oil fields. The conversation touches on Johnny's Cyberpunk 2077 backstory and how his life ended. If done properly, when V is considering who to go to for help after talking to Hanako Arasaka, if they wait for a certain time without making a choice, Johnny will offer an alternative solution: raid Arasaka HQ with just him, risking no one else's life. This leads to a secret ending to the game that many players mistakenly miss by either not following Johnny's questline or by choosing the wrong dialogue options during their conversation. Choices matter in Cyberpunk 2077. Whether Takamura lives or dies, whether V assaults Arasaka Tower alone or with a team, and versus ultimate fate are all left to the player to decide. Many of these choices aren't immediately obvious on first playthrough, however, leading some players to mistakenly miss them and cause a game state that they didn't want or aren't happy with. Becoming aware of these choices makes a second playthrough of Cyberpunk 2077 much more satisfying from beginning to end.